Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, brought to you by your Front Range Toyota dealerships. This is the DNVR Avalanche pregame show presented by Coors Light and Bet365. The Avs are taking on the Minnesota Wild tonight. I don't think it's any secret. If the Avs want to win the Central, this is pretty much a must-win game, right? Now, they don't have to win the Central, but you would like them to stay competitive. You would like them to at least compete with Dallas, make that game directly against Dallas mean something, yes?
Absolutely. And with the schedule that they have coming up, it's going to be tough. Yep. Edmonton tomorrow, that these points just matter that much more. They don't want to create any added challenges, making tomorrow a must-win as well, though I would say both are probably equally important. It definitely adds to the layer of challenge if they do not get these points tonight that are presumably easier to get.
Yeah, listen, it's tough sledding right there, too. You got 3 and 4 coming up. I always talk about Sega Babas. I don't care about Sega Babas. I care about the 3 and 4. The third one's a tough one. It just is. It's physically, mentally challenging. It's demanding. It's the end of the year. Then mentally, you're almost in the playoffs, too. So it's like, you can't wait till it's over. And it's such a weird schedule, too, right? They got 3 and 4. Then they... next week it's kind of like whatever, and then the week after they have a game, and 3 days off, and then they play Edmonton, right? The last game was it Edmonton, the last game of the year. The weird schedule. Here's where I'm standing about must-win games or whatever it is. I think the chips will fall where they fall. You know what I mean? And I think if you just give it your best effort, see what happens that night. Like, to go back to last game, you felt short a little bit. You felt cheated a little bit. You know what I mean? As a team, they felt that. Yeah, sure, you got 40-plus shots. You should. You're playing a high school team. I mean, no offense. There's a lot of injuries and not an up-to-snuff team this year in the NHL level. Columbus, you should have won that one. I was listening to Bednar on Altitude Radio, and, again, it's not – you don't need to be Inspector Clouseau, to figure out, what happened. Like he said, he goes, we didn't capitalize. Their goalie played well, and then – you get a save here and there, like we always talk about. Like he said it, and you're not blaming the goaltender by saying that. But if you do get a save here and there, it's a different game. You know what I mean? So they didn't get that save. They got all played in net by the other guy, and then, you fell short. You felt cheated. So now what I'm looking for today and tomorrow and the next 3 and 4 is give it your best effort, give it your best shot. Chips fall the way they fall, and then you go from there, and then. I still think they can win the Central Division. I still do, because you are playing Dallas, because you are. And then Dallas is on their run right now. They're in their franchise record 8-game win streak, and awesome. 2 weeks ago they couldn't win a game. You know what I mean? So it's everybody goes through their ups and downs, and, the good thing is it's over, and it's a new season here in about 10 days. So 2 weeks, whatever it is.
Obviously, as a player, you want to win every game. As an Avalanche organization, you don't win the Central Division, you almost certainly end up playing Winnipeg. You do win the division, it looks like they'll probably end up against LA or Nashville, one of the two. Is there a preferred opponent for the Avs right now, or do they just want the home ice?
Based on their road performance, it does feel like the home ice holds a little more significance, though their road record in the playoffs specifically for the Cup year was so impressive.
It was.
Can they recreate that? Is that just a different level of hockey that is unlocked when it comes to the playoffs for them? You'd hope so, but I think the home ice advantage that they've established this year is important to try for. As far as one preferred opponent over the other, I don't like Andrew Brunett's version of Nashville. It's kind of a run-and-gun team that has given them a little bit of trouble this year, with exception to the most recent game in that series. LA's had its struggles that I think Colorado could capitalize on. But beyond that, Winnipeg's going through a little bit of a tough trouble. But I do believe in playoff version of Connor Hellebuck. So I think maybe I'm leaning towards LA, but I'd probably eat my words if that came to fruition.
Well, here's what I always say as a player. Like, it's hard to say. Like, everybody asks you that question. Oh, you didn't want to play, unless you're a real moron and fall into the trap of saying something like, "Oh, I want to play X." So you never hear guys say that.
You don't think Trennan wants Nashville round 1?
Right, exactly. Yeah, but he'll never say it. He might say it in the shower, but not when the media's around. But I just think as a player, you know what? Who's our opponent? Who are we playing? Who are we getting ready for? This is all the chips fell, and I keep saying that, but that's what it is. And and I agree. It's always you can always scare yourself too, right? You're saying like, hey, I don't want what about LA? What about Nashville? What about Vegas? What about Winnipeg? What about there's a lot of good teams in the National Hockey League. It's scary, you know what I mean? But then I always say, okay, I'm going to flip the switch. I'm going to flip the switch. Do you think they want to play the Colorado Avalanche? I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, right? You know what I mean? I'm just not being biased here. I'm saying playoffs are scary because it's do or die, and it's whoever gets hot, and everything's out the window. I mean, honestly, everything goes out the window. The regular season goes out the window. You got a seat in the dance, and then you go, and then it's whoever gets the hottest at that time, whoever has the most luck. We all know that about opponent, like matchups and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But all I know is the West has got a lot of teams that could go a long way. Now you got Edmonton that's struggling right now, and who knows? And everybody's like, oh God, it's scary. Playoffs are scary.
I want to go back to that comment from Jeremy that was up a little bit with Annunen starting again tonight. The reason for that is the back-to-back. Let's be real. Minnesota and Edmonton. Minnesota is the easier opponent there. As Jeremy, you said in your chat brought to you by the Toyota 4Runner, the Avs need all the points. So they're going with their backup against the easier team. They're trying to get 4 points out of this back-to-back that they have here to continue competing for the top of the Central Division. How do we feel about the Avs goalie structure right now? And then the other night, not saying he played poorly, but obviously the Avs only scored 1 goal. He's not the reason they lost, but maybe not quite to the level of performance we've seen a couple of games from him so far.
I'm trying to remember the game that was after the holiday. Like, I think it was after Christmas or New Year's in Minnesota. I feel like Eustace played that game. I could be remembering that incorrectly, but I remember last year he did as well. And he's played well on the road in Minnesota, if that's the case. It's at least 2 games I can recall that he's played well against Minnesota in Minnesota. I don't see why not. He hasn't done enough to have that opportunity stripped from him. I think that he's done enough, actually, to warrant it, even including what happened last game. I don't think that was enough to take this game away from him.
I would agree.
No, he wasn't bad last game. It was just, and again,
second goal was not great.
It's just you give up 3 on 20. I mean, you
I know
you weren't good. You were average.
Say it every night for Georgia.
That's what I'm saying. You just got to be good. You just don't be average. Just be good. Don't asking you to be great. This is the Avalanche. This is a good team. All you need is good goaltending. You don't need great goaltending. You need good goaltending. We can't be average. I don't think there's a goalie controversy. I think this was all planned out. This was all planned out the last 2 weeks. They sat down with goalie coach and the goalies, and this is who you're going to play this one, you're going to play that one, you're going to play this one. And this is how it's working out. And I don't think there's a goalie controversy. I mean, and again, there's no goalie controversy until there is one, right? You know what I mean? Until you start sideways in the playoffs, then you're like, oh, Schneisky's. If you do, you're like, oh, God, do we make the switch? And, we've seen teams do it. Florida last year, all of a sudden, they didn't play Bobrovsky. They played Lyon, and next thing you know, they play Bobrovsky, and they make it all the way to the Cup final. So, I mean, you don't have a goalie controversy until you have one. Mm-hmm. I don't smell one right now. I think this was all planned out. So, right now, just go out there and do your job.
A couple of quick housekeeping things since we haven't had an off-day show in a while. Nikolai Kovalenko is skating here at home in the Family Sports Center, so not going to be on this trip, obviously, but maybe an option for the homestand coming up for Colorado. And then the Avs signed Chris Wagner to an additional year of his contract. A little bit more curious about that one. Obviously, depth for next year, great, awesome. Does this have any implications on him potentially being a 13th or even 12th forward for Colorado in these playoffs?
I'm trying to think. Is he?
Realistically, the guy in my mind he would be replacing is Kiviranta, right?
Yeah, and I think what he brings, we talked about this even with respect to the last game, the penalty kill aspect, it gives him an edge over Kiviranta. And I was just trying to check his eligibility. I don't feel like he was called up on the clear day for the AHL paper transactions. I don't think he was.
Don't think so.
So he's eligible for Eagles?
I'm pretty sure he
Okay.
is, but I'm not 100% sure.
I imagined him being someone they want to keep for the 13th forward. Honestly, if not for the Achilles injury this summer, I think that Kiviranta might not have gotten the NHL contract, because I think the plan
Fair
with
point.
Chris Wagner in the offseason was for him to be that guy, and his injury timeline afforded an opportunity to Kiviranta. That's not to demerit him. I just think that was the plan, bringing Chris Wagner on board in the offseason.
I think you're spot on, given the timing of that contract that Kiviranta got mid-season.
I think he's a good soldier. That's what he is. He's good. He fits well. For me, I'd love to have him around as a 13th forward, 12th forward to 13th. I like him better than a couple of those options that we've seen this year. He's got some experience. He's been on a first place team in Boston. He knows what it takes. He knows what the pressure is of playing in the playoffs. He's older. He's 32. He's versatile. So I think it's a great signing. Even if you have to put him through waivers next year, this is the type of guy you probably might not lose. You know what I mean? Like it's there's a lot of Chris Wagners out there, and no offense to him. Like I said, I respect him and I admire his career. So, but it's perfect to have probably as a 13th forward, 12th forward, and brings a lot. I like his game. I thought it was a smart signing, and I thought it was awesome.
All right, let's get into today's game a little bit more specifically. You got your 3 keys of the game lined up here.
Yes, I'm going to do this one. Number 1, manufacture your own emotions. I felt that it wasn't their last game. I thought that they played like robotically, all right, this is a game in the National Hockey League. There was no, I don't know, I didn't feel they were emotionally invested in the game. And maybe they would have gotten 75 shots on that instead of 40 if they played, because they should have, because they're that much better than the other team. And I just felt that, it's just, okay, we're down. It just wasn't there. And it's hard to play those games. I've been there. It's hard. You go to Columbus. Columbus is nothing to play for. They played much better than the week before when they were here. So tonight's the same thing. You know what? The Wild, they don't have much to play for. They don't. I mean, Marcus Foligno got shut down, right? Got surgery. They're really out of it now. They're really not doing anything. So be engaged in this game. Put pressure on yourself. Manufacture your own emotions. That's what I mean by that. Number 2, score first. How about we switch it a little bit? Enough of those comebacks and like, oh, great, awesome. We have 5,000 comebacks this year. How about you just score first? And it's important when you play an opponent that's done, which key number 1. If you go and score first, you really put the odds on your side to put them away, because they sit there and they're like, here we go again. Here we go again. I can't wait till the season's over. So it's a big one. So go right after them. Go with speed and just play your game and then never look back. Number 3, in order to do 1 and 2, you got to be disciplined. So you can't take dumb penalties. Be consistent with your efforts. Be consistent with your thought process. Play the game the right way. Again, we talked about it all year long. Bednard, his pressers. Playoff habits. You know what I mean? Play the right game. Just go out and do it right. So I'm excited. I do believe they come out of this one tonight, fairly easily, unscathed, with a big win. And fun to have Parisi. Hopefully the crowd's going to be good to him, and might be his last time ever playing there. And even though it didn't end up on the right way, and whatever it was with the buyout and no Stanley Cup, and those guys were brought in to bring a Stanley Cup, still he was a good soldier. He played well in Minnesota all those years. So hopefully those hockey fans there in Minnesota give him a nice little farewell there, and that'd be great to see. And maybe, why not, get a goal in there and have some fun with it.
On your number 2 point, don't just score first. Play with the lead for the majority of the game, right?
Exactly.
We've watched the Avs score first sometimes, but then they give away 1 or 2 goals in the first period, and it's another comeback, whatever, 26, however many they have. You can get ahead and stay ahead. It's allowed.
I'd like to see, too, I know my score prediction was 4-3, but so far in this series with Minnesota, it has been a 1-goal difference in the games. And I'd like to see the Avs more dominantly win. So not only get the lead, keep the lead, but maybe win by a few. And so I would like to redact my 4-3 goal prediction and just make it. Yeah, I think Eric said 4-1. I love that. I want to see them win by a couple goals difference.
Would be nice. It would be nice to get an easy one for Colorado, especially with the back-to-back game coming tomorrow. So math adds up on that one. Let's get into our eaters out here. Who's gonna eat tonight with Circle K? Go get into the inner circle and eat some goals. I don't know where I was going with that. Eric, your 6 a.m. request always in for the eater. Who you got?
It's in. I took Mikko. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel that you guys were just saying that Annunen plays well in Minnesota, and maybe it's the climate. Like, even though it's nice over there in Minnesota right now, but it's very similar to the climate in Finland. So maybe Mikko and Eustace, they like playing there. Like I said, I shouldn't say anything. I think it's 70 degrees this week in Minnesota, but no, I do feel Mikko needs to go off, and and again, Mac is 3 points behind now. Kucherov, with Kucherov having 2 assists.
Because some players get 3 assists and some players don't.
He doesn't even come close to it. But he whacks it in the air, doesn't even touch the puck. It's unreal, man. Well, whatever. We're not going to get into that discussion right now, but it's sad. I mean, we're biased, but still, it's really? Anyway. Yeah, I do feel that be good for Mikko to go off. That means if he goes off, that means Mac is getting some points, and it'll be an interesting race till the end, right? The scoring lead. So Mikko's got his 100 points now. I mean, again, down year for Mikko, but got 100
points. 40-goal year, down year.
Down year, 100-point season.
Makar, down year.
Makar, he's kind of confused for the lead.
God, the expectations are so high here. I love it, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. You know what? That means that this is a sick team. This is a good team. So, but my Circle K eater tonight is Mikko Rantanen. I do believe he goes off.
Megan, who you got?
I'm going to go with Zach Parise. I've been picking Miles Wood, but it all goes back to the same place of needing the third line to get going. So I'd like to see Zach Parise have a nice night. To Eric's point, the sentimental value of this potentially being his last game in Minnesota and his history to that organization, though complicated, I think is important to remember and appreciate, and I hope that he has a good game and that third line really gets going.
He killed the Avs there for years. He owes us a couple of goals.
Yeah, I'd like to see that start now.
All right. I am going to take the Avs defense as a whole. We saw in Columbus the other night. Not that they're bad players. The execution just was not there from their D-core the other night. I put in my studs and duds that their best defenseman was arguably Jack Johnson in that game. Nothing against Jack Johnson, but if he's your best defenseman, your D had a tough night. Yeah. Go out there, have a better night tonight. And I don't even mean necessarily production. I mean effective puck movement. Get the pucks out of your own zone. Stop whiffing on pucks at the offensive blue line.
Josh Manson.
Thank you. Play quality puck management hockey from your defense. And to be honest, if you get that, you really should beat a team like Minnesota. So, little bit of a cop-out taking the defense as a whole. But you need a lot of people to make an inner circle, all right?
I like it.
Well,
Circle
that's
K.
Important. And there's a lot of ways you could be right about it. So somebody needs to step
Cheating
up.
a little bit.
No, somebody needs to step up.
I hope they do. Whether it's Makar, Taves, Girard, Manson, Walker, whoever it is, I'll take it. Go get yourself part of that inner circle with the QR code on screen, or go to circlek.com/inner circle today. You get a bunch of amazing rewards, including 25 cents off a gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, and amazing game day snack deals every single day with Circle K. Again, use that QR code on screen to get your inner circle rewards today. Colorado, as a hockey team, on the road, it's gotten a little bit better over the last month or so, but they're still not a great road team. How do they solve it? As we're entering a point where we're now past kind of that 10-game honeymoon period with all the new guys from the trade deadline, is the expectation that the Avs just have to lock in their systems on the road? Is there expectations that their special teams need to get the job done? What do they need to do to be successful on the road?
It's a cop-out answer, but it is a matter of consistency because they've had good road periods, and the key inside those periods was sticking to the Avalanche process consistently. And when they applied themselves in that way consistently, it was some of their best hockey. And when they've done that over the course of 2 periods back-to-back, it's when you look at a game where they probably deserved a little bit better of a fate because at least 2/3 of that game, they played really good hockey.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of consistency over the span of a full 60 minutes. It's not allowing that first goal against. Even if they have a terrific finish, you just want to see them from start to finish play good Avalanche hockey.
Yeah, like I said, next week or 10 days from now, whatever it is, everything's out the window. And I've seen teams that have had piss poor seasons in the play on the road and then be outstanding in the playoffs.
Sure.
I mean, it's a new season. Everything goes out the window. Do I think it's a little bit of coincidence? I think so. Sometimes this year. They've had some good spurts. Look, last week, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago, they won 4 in a row on the road.
Yeah.
Tough road trip was awesome. Start of the season, they had that streak going from the year before. So they've had some big wins on the road. I think part of it is the schedule at times. Part of it is it's a lot of hockey the last couple of years, and part of it is like, who knows? It's just I believe in, like, it's been a little bit just coincidence, and I don't read too much into it. Oh God, they can't win on the road, and I just think that they've had some ebbs and flows to the season, and mostly highs because they're a top 5 team in the NHL again. So, but I think coincidentally, I think they've played some bad hockey or bad habits, like Megan said, or consistency wasn't there. It just happened to be on the road. I don't believe that they're a bad road team. I think, and you know what? Let the opponent think that in 10 days, and that's awesome.
Eric, extremely unconcerned. That's good.
Yeah.
Because I went with your eater for my bets tonight. We're taking a little bit of a boosted parlay with Bet365 tonight. Look, I'm taking Mikko to score a goal. We're going with it. Also, we all took the Avs to score 4, so I took the Avs over 3.5 goals. And I took the Avs to win the game. You get it all together for plus 260. You put that on there, you go get yourself a little bit of cash with Bet365.
All right, I like it.
If you want the X-Player curse, you've got Duhaime and Parise on the Avs side of it.
I like those.
So could get in on some bets on that side of it too, if that's what you're looking for.
What about who TP'd Fleury's car?
I think that's
Is there odds out there?
hilarious.
That'd be I wish betting sites would do stuff like that.
Remember when we worried who would replace Bo's energy in the room?
It didn't take long.
It didn't take long to have a little mischief.
Do your betting with Bet365, whatever it is you're betting on. If you think the Avs suck on the road, bet against them. You get plus money on Minnesota tonight, so give it a go. Of course, when you do bet, make sure you sign up with DNVR 365 code. Bet $5 on any NHL game, and you get $150 in bonus bets with Bet365. When you do gamble, of course, must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER to get them some help. All right. Final thoughts going into tonight's game. This is very selfish of me, but even if the Avs lose tonight, to me it is what it is, and then I can stop worrying about them trying to win the Central. It's just feels like if they drop this one, pressure's off. You know you're probably getting Winnipeg in the playoffs. Just go through and get there.
What the Avs have given me with what they've accomplished this year is something that I didn't have last year, and it's confidence in what they'll be able to do in the postseason. And to Eric's point earlier about let the chips fall where they may, I do feel that way. Like, no matter what the Avs are up against, they've punched their ticket to the dance, and I have a lot of confidence in what they're going to do next. So I'm not going to fight myself on how I feel about tonight if they end up losing.
Sure.
I won't love it, and I'll write about it in English Angle.
Of course.
But I'm not going to worry about this team. There's just a lot would have to go wrong for me to start worrying about this team. I feel really good about where they're positioned.
Feels better than last year, for sure. I would agree. On the trust side of things with this team.
Yeah, and again, that's what I'm saying. Minnie's out of it. I know there's some hatred or whatever it is, but when you're out of it, there's really no hatred, towards
Sure.
Minnesota. I think tomorrow, and again, it's one game at a time, but just from my point is, tomorrow you got Edmonton, and then Sunday you got Dallas. Those are two guys you might play in the first, obviously not the first round, Edmonton, but you might play in one of those
Teams
rounds
you'll have to
get
go
to the
through
cup.
if you
They
want
might
to
be
do
on
the
your
thing.
road. There might be a
Yeah.
roadblock. Mini's not. And that's why I say bring some emotion to the game. Be invested in the game. You don't have to be like Rangers and Jersey like yesterday involved in the game. That's not what I'm saying, but get in the game.
Hey,
You know what I mean? Like,
look, you want a night off? Go get up 4-0 in the first period,
but that's
and then
my point.
cruise through the rest of the game.
That's my point. And then play everybody, and like last week
Yeah.
and 2 weeks ago. Remember, like the
Exactly.
ice time was great. And
Yep.
again, like, I'm not worried about tomorrow because it's one game at a time, and I'm not worried about the ice time for tomorrow. I'm worried about 3 and 4 is tough. 3 and 4 is tough, especially on an 8:15 start Sunday. You've traveled a few time zones. I'm just saying, like, make it easy on yourself tonight. Get involved and get invested emotionally, and everything should be fine.
Yep. Don't have to complicate things.
No.
Just go out there and get the job done. We are going to wrap up this pregame show as we are inside 10 minutes to puck drop. Unfortunately, no watch along tonight. The Nuggets also play, so there is that. But, we'll still be live postgame, breaking it all down. Good, bad, or ugly. We got you covered. Be sure to tune in to that. Follow us on Twitter for live game tweets, too. We appreciate all y'all hanging out, and we will talk to you after the game.
We all silly like the mayor.